We want to say to you, it's not a matter of changing the circumstances to make them go away. It's a matter of changing your focus to make them go away. In other words, what the negative emotion that you feel is what it is and what it only is and what it only ever is and what it only ever has been and what it only ever will be. What negative emotion only is your active vibration that is contrary to your larger active vibration. And what we mean by that is you were source energy before you came into this body. You know that? And you're still mostly source energy even though you're in this physical body. You are non-physically bigger and more than you are physically. But there are two vibrational aspects to that which you are. Sometimes humans call that source or soul or God. We refer to it as your inner being or your inner beingness or the source within you. But that non-physical energy, that larger part of you, exists at all times. Now, sometimes some of that energy is focused into a physical body like you. And when that happens, there is the potential of two vibrational vantage points going on. And if there is a big variance between those vibrational vantage points, you don't feel so good. In other words, who you really are as source energy is one who loves always, only, ever. And when you find someone to hate, and there are a lot of rascals out there, a lot of rascals doing dastardly deeds, as you focus upon those and you feel hatred or anger toward them, you do something that the source within you does not do. Now, many humans have been trying to convince God to be as mean and angry as they are. Some have even put words in God's mouth. Some have turned God into a vengeful God. And we want you to understand that's man's out of the vortex perspective of something that is not. In other words, when man speaks of a vengeful God, it's because he's looking through vengeful glasses, his own vengeful glasses. Because you cannot set your radio dial at 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast at 98.7 FM. The frequencies have to match up. So when you feel anger, when you feel fear, when you feel depression, when you feel frustration, you're feeling those emotions because what you're focused upon has you vibrationally departed or separated. That's too strong a word, but pinched off from. You're at a different vibrational frequency than the source energy that is really you, and that's why you are suffering the resistance or the pinching offedness. So negative emotion is what happens. For example, you're sifting through life and you don't have enough money, let's say. So you ask for more. And boy, have you ever been doing that? Asking. There's a veritable fortune amassed for you in your vibrational reality, in this vortex of expansion and freedom and joy. There is this veritable financial fortune that is amassed because of your asking. And the non-physical part of you stands as the beer, as the owner, as the holder of all of that financial abundance, holding steady that signal so that you can feel your way into vibrational alignment with it. So when you feel optimistic, you're moving in the right direction. Pessimism, the wrong direction. When you're financially afraid, you're far from alignment. When you're hopeful, you're right on the verge of manifestation. And if you hang around in hopeful attitude for just a little while, this vortex that law of attraction is managing will take you right in and make a believer out of you. In other words, you don't have to hope very long in that almost aligned vibrational stance before the vortex takes you in and gives you evidence of your alignment. And then you believe. Briefly, you do that often enough, you get into hope often enough, you'll become a believer often enough that you will come to know your financial well-being. Now, we could give you that same analogy whether your body is sick and you're asking for wellness, or you're missing a lover and want one, or you've got an ornery lover and would like one that's more congenial. In other words, whatever it is that you're living is causing you to ask all day, every day. And we so much want you to know that when you ask that it is given, that we've written a book and given it the title. Here it is. Proof. When you ask, it is given. But it's not just that it is given. It is that it becomes. It vibrationally becomes. Now, many of you say, big deal. It's vibrationally become, but can I spend it? And we say everything that you know as this earth spinning in this orbit, even the people upon it and the animals upon it, all of that was a vibrational reality at one time. Everything that becomes manifest is first a vibrational reality. So when you begin to understand the power of this vibrational reality, that's what we're going to work on together here today. We're going to convince you. We're going to give it everything that we and Esther have. We are going to convince you that this vibrational reality is where it all is. We want, by the end of this gathering, for you to know, as we know, that what you are calling reality is old news. By the time it's manifested, even if you just got that new car today, it's old news. Because by the time it's manifested, you have long come into alignment with it, you see. Where it's really at, the fresh, new, expansive you is in this vibrational reality. And you know how you know? When you're moving toward it, you feel great. When you're moving away from it, you feel awful. When you are in vibrational sync with your vibrational reality, even before it is manifested, you feel wonderful. And do you know? Everything you want, whether it's a material object, a state of being, a state of mind, whether it's a relationship, a pile of money, a material object, every single thing that you or anyone has ever wanted, you want for one reason and one reason only. You think you will feel better in the having of it. You think you will feel better in the having of it. You think you will feel better in the having of it. Think about the feeling of love. Think about coming together. Sometimes you have to think back to the beginning of your relationship. Think about that newfound being in love. You know that feeling of being in love? Do you remember that feeling of being in love? It wasn't about stuff. It wasn't about places. It was about how you felt. It was about how you felt, and you associated it with this person that you were feeling that way about and who was feeling that way about you. But it was a vibrational state. It was alignment. You were just using that relationship and that person as your excuse to line up with who you are. And that feeling of in love is you lining up with who you are. That's the feeling of passion. That's the feeling of eagerness. That's the feeling of joy. That's the feeling of love. That's who you are, and that's how you're supposed to feel. That's how you optimally do feel when there is not active resistance within you in any point in time. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. We'll talk about law of attraction all day today. Mostly, we're going to talk about this vortex. We're going to talk about this vibrational reality where everything that you've become and all cooperative components to all of that have already been assembled. And we're going to convince you, or do our best to do so, that this now reality that you hold so much stock in is really barking up the wrong tree. We want to convince you that if you will look forward, if you will feel forward, the thing that makes that a little bit of a hard sell for our physical human friends is that when you are deciphering your physical world, you use your eyes and your ears and your nose and your fingertips and your tongue. In other words, you smell it, you see it, you hear it, you feel it, you devour it with all of your physical senses. It's tactile and it's real, and you agree upon so much of what you're experiencing. We know it's vivid and it's enticing and it's delicious, and you came to experience all of that. And when we talk about the vibrational reality, you can't see in there. You can't hear in there. In other words, you can only feel in there. Sometimes you leave this gathering and your friends say, "How was it?" And you say, "It was great." They say, "Was it worth the drive? Was it worth the flight? Was it worth the price? What went on there?" And then you say, "Well, I have to admit, it was a little odd." There's this man who calls his wife Abraham. It starts there. And she stands on the stage and points at some invisible place and insists that it's the vortex and that everything we want is in it. And I looked, I didn't see. But when you accept this vibrational reality and you show yourself the realness of it by feeling yourself into it. And you let the feeling of love call you. You let the feeling of clarity call you. You care about how you feel. You care about how you feel so much that you contour your thinking to the thoughts that feel the best until you begin to chronically offer thoughts that feel good to you. Then what happens is, from inside this vortex, things begin to occur to you. You get inspiration. Ideas occur to you that when you act on, manifest into wonderful things. All things manifest. But they're in the vortex in a place that you can't hear them or smell them or see them or taste them or touch them first, you see. And so that's really the hurdle that we have to accomplish with most of our physical friends. We have to convince you that if you will consistently feel your way into alignment, that then you will become one of the chronic cooperative components to your own desires. And when you are consistently a cooperative component, when you're on the same wavelength of your own desires, those desires must manifest into your experience. But here's the tripping point for so many of you. If you say, all right, I'll play your silly game, I'll accept the reality of whatever that is that you're pointing at, and I'll feel my way, I'll reach for thoughts that feel better, I'll tune myself vibrationally to the source within me, I will line up vibrationally, because then the things I want will manifest into my reality. Now you've tripped yourself up again, because what you're saying is, I have this thing that isn't that I want, and I'm willing to do this stuff in order to get this thing that isn't. As long as your attention is upon this thing that isn't, you can't get into the vortex. And unless you get into the vortex and are in alignment with the vibrational aspect of it, it cannot become a reality. So that's why we want to convince you, go for the love, go for the clarity, go for the fun, go for the good feeling. You are all day, every day sifting through life. When someone's rude, you want them to be nicer. When you've got a biological problem on your planet, you want improvement. When you are stiff and sore in your body, you want to be limber and good feeling. When you feel bound up, you want to be free. When you are confused, you want to have clarity. When you don't have enough money, you want more money. All day, every day, you're sifting and sorting and becoming 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 and becoming. And the larger part of you has become it and is holding a steady vibrational beam for you. And you can tell whether you're up to speed with it or not. And it has nothing to do with you not having that relationship you think you want, or not having that car you think you want, or that whatever it is. Your negative emotion is not about the absence of the manifestation. It's about the absence in the moment of the alignment with the expanded version of you. You must keep up with you if you are to be the joyful being. And by keeping up with you, we mean keep up to speed vibrationally, not with your stuff. We are pretty sure that someday we will hold a seminar and there will be hundreds of thousands of people online listening, and the subject will be demanifestation of all this stuff. Because the more you gather and try to make important and hold unto you, the less free you feel, you see. Because your joy is in alignment with the fullness of that which you have become, not alignment with the stuff that you use in order to exaggerate your effectiveness or your power. Again, don't misunderstand. We want you to have all that stuff. We want your body to feel good and look good. We want your manifestations to be beautiful and please you. But we want you to know the manifestations will never be enough to please you. And even the manifestations that you gather will never be enough, because that's looking for love in all the wrong places. What you're looking for is alignment with the new idea you just hatched. That's what you're looking for. Alignment with the new idea you just hatched. Nothing is more exhilarating than coming into alignment with that new idea. Anytime you're poking around at a question or a problem, and as that question or problem is coming into focus, the solution is coming into equivalent focus. Isn't that all part of the process? That's the thing that we want you to understand. We want you to devour the contrast that you are living. We want you to feel as proud of your question or your problem as you feel when the solution is revealed to you and you get it, because it's all part of the expanding process. We just want to point out to you one small thing, and that is so many of our human friends have made a career out of the problem. You make a career out of being out of the vortex. We want to summon you into the vortex where the solutions can